Alex Ansary here, October 22nd, 2012, the latest in a series of videos. We're going to talk about how you deal with individuals in this world that are overbearing in their own suppression of your truth. Okay, so some of you may have been on a awakening process, and like you may have got some experience in recent years learning about what the real world is like when you take the red pill, so to speak, for lack of a better phrase, better term. And you could say that it's an understatement to say that the world's a little hostile to people that are truly independent thinkers, and it complicates relationships. Some people don't want to be around someone that thinks too much about certain things. They just want to get physical, and it takes certain things for them to even want to get physical to begin with. If you trigger people to think too hard about certain things, you can easily turn someone off. Oh, I know nothing about that. The greater strength, however, for a man is to evolve beyond those primal instincts to where he will literally grovel so he can, I want to keep my language somewhat clean, so that he can have what he wants physically. And there's a part of us as men that should be more responsible from the spiritual path to override that, not start altering our behavior or doing certain things that are actually going to hold us back from the spiritual path. I'm not on this path of trying to make anyone feel guilty for having basic desires and wanting to go and have certain things, certain nice things. We're all on our own path. But if you're really on a path of awakening and looking through the truth or at the truth or through the veil or speaking about these things, certain things are going to happen around you because of the world that we're in. And so you need to be honest with yourself in your awakening as to what the world is really like when you start waking up. And so they make them a point to where, oh, people are going to act a certain way, and you allow them to act a certain way, and there may be a little bit of argument, a little bit of contrast. I went through years of that, living in urban environments and living with other people while hosting my show, but seeing how the real world treated me, even if some people thought I was some sort of a de facto Access TV celebrity or reporter or something. No, I'm seeing the word celebrity in a positive light either. People looked at me a certain way because I was on TV, but at my job, with relationships, with roommates, with the real world of Alex Ansary behind the scenes in Portland, Oregon, while hosting Outside the Box TV, archives you can find on YouTube, you could see how I could be viewed in different ways. And some people go, well, you're just an Access TV host, or you're not making money, or you're just spinning your wheels, or they just provided their judgment and more judgment. And that was about it. But I stand by the very things that I warned about. And I'm seeing many things that I talked about come into fruition. So it's a time for me to recenter on the truth. And in the end, what I've done was right. The physical time that I invested in my own life, not towards things that other men chase, but towards this thing called sharing the truth and alternative media and video uploads and maintain the websites. And even at the point now where I make money managing someone else's website and making sure that news is posted there on a regular basis with my top picks, if you will, headlines of the day. So I see in a way how certain things have paid off. And even though I would like certain things to at least be aware that I talked about these things years ago, I understand that that is a part of the trap of this matrix regarding ego. And so I have to persevere and continue to push anyways, regardless of the impact that it's having in my immediate life, i.e. love life, monetary, or otherwise. In the end, I realize I have everything physically that I need. And I'm not reliant on anyone or anyone else or anything at this point to get my message out. I just need to continue to be left alone where I live and to continue to appreciate this experience that a lot of people don't understand and a lot of people don't get to experience in other places where there are more rules and regulations towards what you can and cannot do. What I interpret is that it's a blessing that I at least made it this far, and I take it one day at a time. So my advice to others, having said all that and shared with you how I'm dealing with certain things, what can you take from that? when it comes to being independent and being on your own path. It's separating from that dependency or expectation that we will be loved and accepted because of what we do, or even just left alone. Sometimes we deal with certain issues because of what we're dealing with, because of what we're speaking. And again, as sometimes we experience, there could be a divine force that enters our life to encourage positive things to happen, that enable us in our path. And when we recognize that, as I recognize this experience and that which led to this, I direct, instead of fear, faith that this is a part of something greater. In my own personal life, to me as a soul, something greater in the very things that I do. I would impart that spiritual wisdom. The things that we do matter. Not whether we're going through life easily and not dealing with contrast, or people talking shit to us, or disturbances in our environment or in our world, be they from the physical or non-physical realm. We need to be able to say to ourselves, we shall overcome. In a Martin Luther King spirit, if you will. We shall overcome the oppression of the now. And we will transcend this through our effort and our passion, our spirit. And we speak from the heart and not just from the mind. These things have an impact on our world. I've made an impact on this world. Other people that have shared amazing piece of information have had a positive impact on my world. I've also seen other people almost have a negative impact upon my world. So we're impacting and being impacted by our world. We are transmitter receivers. We give and take. Walk the path of truth that you have identified for yourself. The path for you is not how to get your mother's acceptance. There could be a power struggle there over who knows it all, who's more spiritual. Same thing with your father. It could be something that's presented as New Age, metaphysical, or spiritual, or religious, or it could be some other power struggle. You could be dealing with an atheist that is absolutely disgusted at your own inner studies, your own studies into this matrix and what makes you tick. You are not here on the earth to please them. I'll take things even further. At some point, some of you should leave the scumbags that you're with. I mean, honestly, you should identify and know if you're with the scumbag. I'm not trying to break up relationships. Some of you are actually with living, breathing slugs, and you haven't identified it. Maybe you're not the one watching this, but certainly if I was speaking to millions of people around the planet, I would be speaking to people that are with some serious degenerates in their life because, for one reason and one reason only, in this world of physicality, they cannot recover from the dark Cupid love bite that has kept them connected to the wrong person for way too long, nor have they opened up their consciousness wide enough to be able to perceive such sabotage behind the scenes in their own relationships. And I suppose I've seen it once or twice, but the Adjustment Bureau is one example of this. Interference in human relationships, which Eve Lorgan writes about in her book, The Love Bite. It's difficult dealing with family. How do you deal with family? And I say also, take note of who you're asking. Okay, you're asking Alex Ansary. Just like one person is going, well, I'm really concerned about this World War III stuff, and I'm in Denver, but I want to make sure that I have enough money before I leave the grid. About needing to have all this money first, and from my experience, I had to be without that money, with nothing but basically this particular heater. Back in late 2012, when I went to Costilla County the first time. So when someone asks me, how do you deal with family, how do you deal with relationships, how do you deal with a girlfriend, how do you deal with the mother, how do you deal with these people? The truth is, you evolve beyond that very question. That's where we start, with answering your dilemma. It's something that I've had to do. Some of you know a little bit about my background and the multiracial aspect on both sides, growing up with a single white mother. And in the end, in my adulthood, since I've started this video series, I have seen myself completely alienated from both sides of the family, regardless of stuff I talk about with America, regardless of stuff I talk about regarding Afghanistan. Complete alienation from both of those groups, which collectively seem to be in their own hive mind of conformity. It's shocking. But an entity, a human, a soul inside this body that's a mix of both of these lines, is for whatever reason speaking way outside their box and way outside their field of understanding and perception and social acceptance and that which is worthy of love and contact. That's what I have survived all of these years since starting outside the box. Not the fame and fortunes, not that I ever thought that would come, but absolute judgment and isolation. And the relationships, and I've spoken about why I've gone on my own way and I don't chase the women of today's world. There's no point to it. There is nothing about the very things that I am doing that attracts the average, psychologically healthy, that is, woman of today's world. And there are people that will contact me, and it's very dangerous for me currently now to be getting involved with people that I don't know, because they could be sent by anyone at any time to try to extract some sort of information or create a problem. And it's unfortunate. But the reality is, anyone that I would get involved with, I'd have to know them pretty well. Pretty well. It'd have to be really heartfelt. And, I feel like the few people that I really have felt close to in my life, that it was just a temporary fling for them in their mind, because I live in the modern world and have to conform to that. Conform my expectations. I am in the modern world of the modern man and woman. And a lot of people are literally moving very fast between individuals. And that is something that I have stepped away from since leaving the Portland area. Fast cars, fast women, fast drinks. Yeah, go and just bop and bop. And, for me, no, it isn't how do I get women to accept me for me. It is clear those that have and those that have had an agenda as well that claim that they have. But they came in with an agenda and ended up being a sap of energy and a redirect of energy and almost an infection of a love bite. The wrong person at the wrong time, masquerading as the one. And then the creation of the emotional disturbance through the recreation of the abandonment. I'm just moving along now after there was emotional investment and care and intimacy. It's like a tape that just repeats. Like, that's how things work in this modern artificial matrix that us souls have bounced back into in some cases. And boy, does it get old, the way things are in this matrix, because we are capable of so much more love than that which we have experienced and that which we are dishing out. So in a world where there's so much of that in energy manipulation, you turn that wild energy towards self-love and self-nurturing and connecting with that divine masculine feminine within and doing the things that we are here tasked with to do, our destiny, fulfill our fate, move things forward, help make the world a better place. There's some things that are there in the timeline that I think are set to happen, like 9/11. How will the people react? Okay, well now this scenario is developing for the people. But even before 9/11, were other scenarios predestined on a larger cosmic level, like the staging of World War III? I believe absolutely, without a doubt. And built into this matrix, are there free will options that we can execute, that we can deliver, that can help redirect things on the microcosmic level and what we can't control around us towards the better? Absolutely, they are concurrent. And see, this is outside of this Western linear. Well, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. It's night or it's day. And there is actually more of a yin-yang balance to it all that a lot of people forget. So, I know a few things about rattling people's intellectual cages. And if you really want to evolve, it's speaking your own truth and continuing to investigate the truth and not measuring it up against a peer pressure group. That ultimately in the end is going to be echoing the talking points of the Matrix. There's someone that I've called a friend that wasn't much of a friend when he came over last week and looked over my shed and, well, you're wrong about this, Alex. Well, archons aren't even of this universe. That's just, and it's like sitting here, it's like, it's interesting because instead of this being a jolly conversation, it's a one-sided kind of like drunken rant about everything that I'm saying and doing is wrong. It's like, isn't it interesting how, you got an angel in one ear and the devil in the other. One of the only individuals closest to me on the earth, in a physical sense, since I'm off the grid and miles for most of you, is literally echoing the talking points of the Matrix. Take note and take close note. You don't need, as I speak to myself, the support of certain people around you. You need to override this nonsense lie that somehow walked its way into my shed the minute the shed arrived in order to shift the energy of this room, as if there's no point in me recording what I'm saying and there's no value in my YouTube channel to walk into my space and crap on the very things that I value more than anything. That is an archon deception. And coming as my friend, that is sleight of hand. So I'm going to continue, folks, as I wrap this up, giving you advice on navigating this matrix that you are in. It's not about getting the love and fame and all this stuff from others. It's becoming who you are and evolving beyond this time-space reality.